Story is all around us. It motivates us and it pushes us forward. It's one of the most important things that we have. It's what lets us communicate to the world around us our feelings. It helps shape our views. Some of us think the story is unimportant, that it isn't everything. But a story is what attracts our audiences, whether that be potential buyers or our families or our friends around us. It's what helps us connect. A story has a form of making us wonder what we will see next. It can help shape us, shape our beliefs, our thought processes. Even in something as simple as a documentary, we can see that the world around us is ever changing, and that we wonder, even though it might not have much narrative, we wonder what that animal is going to do next, or what we're going to see next, what might come forward. Like a lot of the stories told in the 90s and the early 2000s of the cringy coming to age comedies that were so prevalent then, it stories had certain hooks, even though they were bad, that kept us moving forward, whether wondering the guy would get the girl or whatever he would make to the end. But it was less about the ending and more about the journey getting there. The comedy that kept us there, the little antics that they would get up to on the road trip across the US or Europe or wherever that they were going. My point is, it's not all about the goal. It's the journey that excites us, pulls us forward. A lot of games, books, and movies rely solely on this journey, where the ending is a moot point. Having epic battles and estranged people attacking, or inelegant romances, or something to that nature is what pushes us forward. The ending may not even be worthwhile, but as long as the journey was satisfying, that is what our audiences will take with them. Take, for instance, the whole point of reality TV. It's to show an exaggerated version of real life, to show things that would never actually happen or have never actually happened, and frame them in a way that makes us believe a little bit that this might be happening. These people's lives that are so interesting. It gives us hopes that one day our lives will be interesting in some way, whether it be in an exciting way or a bad way. It's wholly up to you what you believe in. Stories have extreme effects, though. If a story is good, it can motivate people. But if a story brings up a harsh subject in a bad light, in a hard way, it can backlash hard. All, all these ways, they have consequences where they can strike back at the author, they can strike back at the producer, anybody who puts this story forward, this narrative forward, whether it be personal, corporate, or public, or anything to that nature. A lot of these, everything needs to be talked about. I do agree with that. But it's how you bring these subjects forward. And I believe a proper story can bring any subject in forward that in a way that softens the blow that hard stories might have. Things that we still need to talk about, need to discuss. Stories can help soften that and make it easier to ease us into debate and be more mannered about the things we're talking about. It's well known that a figure of speech, the pen is mightier than the sword. With that, it is quite easy to say that nowadays the pen is possibly the strongest weapon out there. Everything should be talked about in some way. It's how we approach that target is important. Nowadays, all of the stories that we see are broadcasted live in front of us. At any point of any day, you could sign in and see whatever is going on, and a lot of the times it's negative stories that are brought to light. It's hardly ever anymore that we see joyous stories in the news. And that's what they are. The news is just stories, sometimes more exaggerated to get more views. I guess what I'm trying to say is that stories are powerful, and we have to be careful with how we mold them into our everyday life, how we show them into the world. The stories are our best tools, and that they can inspire us when we might feel down to be up again, to brighten our moods, to brighten the mood of people around us. A lot of us forget that these stories are the things that made us wonder when we were children, that uplifted us when we were having a rough time in our childhood, however mundane it may have been, or however sad our childhood may have been. We all have these stories that pushed us forward to survive, to hope for something better, to hope that the world had something ahead for us. Stories can be told through various methods, through various mediums, through various different types of media. But as long as that story affects one person in a positive way, or it leads to someone's justice or help or redemption or something to that nature, then that story would very much be worth telling. Take, for instance, a child camping with his father. Sometimes that can be mundane and boring, but when we put a certain light on it, it seems exciting. It shows bonding that at the time we might not realize.